Warning. Due to Travis's lack of preparation, the audio in the first half of this podcast is not great and hard to hear. We do apologize for this inconvenience. We will do better next time. Please enjoy. My goodness.
This one hurts my soul.
I feel sorry for you on this one, Will.
Like, all cards on the table. These both are probably maybe my top 5 comedies of all time.
Well, I think you definitely have family members that play for both schools. And you were like, there was no way they were going to be matched up. And something happened in this tournament.
I'm wearing the split jersey.
Yeah.
That's what Travis.
Yeah. Welcome back to the Cinema Clubhouse podcast. I am Travis.
And I'm Will.
And in the spirit of March Madness still, we are continuing with our bracket series. And today, Will, what's the bracket?
We're doing comedies.
Comedy. Perfect. You know, after action, comedy is what kind of makes sense, right?
Need some levity.
Yeah, we need to lighten things
Not
up.
sort of full throttling and scale it back.
Yeah, scale it back. Same rules as last time. We'll randomly draw the matchups based on the 16 we've already selected, and then debate from there and until we have a champion.
Crown a champion of comedy, Travis.
The champion of comedy. I'm excited. The brackets are fun.
Yeah.
So
Last time we got lucky with some of our matchups. We'll see.
We'll see if fate is on our side again, or we're gonna get some top 4 matchups right away.
I get the feeling this one will be a little more topsy-turvy than the last one.
Probably.
Our action tastes are pretty aligned.
Pretty similar. Yeah, comedy we're a little different. Not drastically off the deep end from each other, but yeah, still. All right, well, let's get into it. Let's get that first match.
We'll hop right into it.
Hop right in.
Selection Sunday, right in the middle of the actual tournament.
I like it.
All right, our first competitor, we have Zoolander.
Zoolander. Okay.
Versus.
Oh no. I'm scared. Don't read it.
Wedding Crashers.
Okay. That's not bad. That's not a bad matchup.
It's a fun one.
Okay.
Has some crossover with the actors.
Yeah. I mean, kind of similar vibes the movies give off.
I guess. I don't know.
I guess similar in the fact that, it's not like a drastically different type of comedy.
One is very much more spoofy.
Yeah.
Silly humor.
Yeah.
The other kind of more like crass.
Realistic comedy. Zoolander's way over the top.
Yeah. They both have some moments that go over the top to stretch the imagination a little bit. Of course. But two very different vibes. For sure.
Yeah, both Owen Wilson's. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird that Owen Wilson has 2 movies on this list. But I guess.
More.
Yeah, I can't remember, but it's weird to think. Well, I mean, Zoolander, he's not the main guy, but very much a part of it. Yeah. Zoolander has some great moments. Like when they show him the center for kids who can't read good for the first time.
What is this, a school?
It kills me. It's so good. It's such a good joke.
It's one of those that very much, like a lot of comedies, but very much of its time. Like it's very. I wouldn't say it's dated. I mean, some of it might be dated, but
it might be dated.
It definitely has the feel of some other comedies that came out early 2000s.
Yeah, definitely that. Transitioning from the 90s into the 2000s, kind of feel. But that one's a wild ride. Both you need to pick your audience who you watch those with. Mm-hmm. Kind of carefully. Yeah. You don't want to watch either of those with the wrong person. Then it'd just be a very uncomfortable hour and a half ride.
Both are infinitely quotable.
Oh yeah.
I actually just watched Wedding Crashers very recently.
Did you?
And it's good. It's a good one. It's one of those that, like I said, eminently quotable. So many great moments. The chemistry between Vince Vaughn and Owen Wilson.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah. I mean, it's a good ride. This one's a little difficult. Not as lopsided first round matchup as we got, the last bracket. So this one will require a little more. Again, both these kind of, what mood am I in? It's because the comedy is so, like, Zoolander's just so dumb like dumb comedy.
It's a very specific humor.
Yeah, but if you're in that mood, it hits great.
Yeah.
You know.
Grab some orange mocha frappuccinos.
Yes.
Sit down with the buds.
Yeah. And have a gasoline fight.
Have a gasoline fight. Yeah. I think probably for that reason, I would say more often I'm in the mood to watch Wedding Crashers.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that's something that works in its favor for me.
Yeah.
I love both these movies.
Zoolander is a little more less appealing to an audience, but it's just so cool.
Yeah, Zoolander's definitely kind of what's the term thinking about me where lightning only strikes once, kind of thing.
Yeah.
As they proved.
Yeah.
Because Zoolander 2 was horrible.
Yeah, I mean you can't replicate what you had. Yeah, it's tough. I'm leaning. I probably know Zoolander more, so I'm maybe leaning that way. But I think Wedding Crashers is overall a more enjoyable comedy for all.
Yeah, more relatable characters.
Yeah,
I'd also like to live in that world a little bit more.
Yeah,
I wouldn't mind seeing a sequel to it.
Yeah, that one is one that probably should have got one that hasn't.
Yeah.
I don't know what the circumstances are for that, but
it's a comedy.
Yeah. Comedy sequels are probably the hardest genre that's striking in.
Oh, for sure.
Because what worked in the first one doesn't necessarily mean it translates.
Yeah.
It's a tough one. I mean,
are we gonna have a tiebreaker after that?
We might, but I think I'll probably know where the tiebreaker would go. But yeah, I think I'm gonna have to stick with Zoolander just because I know it more. So tiebreaker off the
bat. I thought this would be a little more topsy-turvy.
Yeah. All right, Zoolander has a 64% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Okay.
With an 80% audience score.
That's actually maybe a little higher than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, definitely. And the winner is Wedding Crashers with 75%.
There it is.
So the irony is using these Rotten Tomato scores when I do not believe in them at all. All right, Wedding Crashers moves on.
We needed something to be the voice of reason.
Something that's subjective and not just me and you.
Yeah. Or objective.
Yeah, objective.
All right.
Okay, next matchup.
Next matchup we have Anchorman.
Oh, boy, howdy.
Versus Tropic Thunder.
Okay.
This one is
that's difficult.
It's wild.
It's another wild matchup.
Ben Stiller.
Ben Stiller, man.
Both servicing again.
They're both servicing again. I mean, Anchorman is very cool. I mean, it's a staple in Will Ferrell's career.
It is, I think, his defining role.
Yeah. It really set him over the top of, leading funny guy in the movie. But I mean, Tropic Thunder is also hilarious. But again, you kind of got to be in the mood. Ben Stiller movies, you might have to just be in the mood for. Besides, Meet the Parents, that was a little more.
Yeah.
If you can handle very uncomfortable situations. But yeah, both wildly entertaining, wildly funny.
Yeah.
Tropic Thunder, swung for the fences. I mean, just the overall plot of it, and I think it knocked it out of the park.
It's definitely a great plot.
Yeah.
I think more so than Anchorman.
Yeah.
Anchorman is less so about the plot, more so just the ridiculous characters.
Yeah, just 4 outrageous newscasters. But I think this matchup is a little lopsided, in my opinion.
One is definitely a little more iconic than the other.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I think Anchorman has to move on.
Yeah, I agree.
I do love Tropic Thunder. It's one of my favorite comedies. I mean, obviously, it made our
top 16. So.
But I think Anchorman just it's so revisitable and rewatchable that it just never gets old. And I feel like Tropic Thunder, in some ways, you kind of got to be ready for that journey. You're in the mood for that journey.
It's definitely got some characters that you have to be kind of, like you said, bracing for Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you do get one of Tom Cruise's best performances.
Oh,
and surprise.
amazing.
The surprise of the century.
Yeah.
One, that he would do it, and two, that he just, I mean, you know, it's so fun. Matthew McConaughey is also very fun. And his characters, it's very funny.
It's great. I might have more laugh out loud moments than that one, but
yeah, I mean, starting out with the fake trailers, I mean, that's a great way to start a movie about making a movie.
So good. But unfortunately, what if we get Ron Burgundy?
Yeah, unfortunately, the legend of Ron Burgundy wins. All right, Anchorman moves on. Yeah.
All right, 2 matchups down.
2 down. So many more to go.
Yeah.
All right. Next matchup. Let's see what we got.
We've got Hot Rod.
Oh no. Oh no. Don't say it, Will.
Versus,
Please don't say it.
Tommy Boy.
Okay.
This one is interesting.
This one seems more evenly matched.
I definitely am leaning a certain way, but
I am too.
it's, one is a little bit more exaggerated,
Yeah.
but both main characters are very exaggerated.
Yeah.
So
Exaggerated. An exaggeration of real people. Like, there's like no way these people like exist in the world
yeah.
necessarily. But they're both in real world. It's not like, it's not like Zoolander, like way out there.
One's a little bit more in the real world. I feel
Yeah.
like, Tommy Boy.
Yeah.
Hot Rod is definitely in maybe an
More-
alternate reality,
Yeah. Where you have to fight your stepdad
or
to get his respect.
the fate of everything is determined by a fight between a taco and a macaroni cheese.
That's right. These are, again, pretty evenly matched. And I feel like both are pretty watchable. For most people, there's not, I mean, Hot Rod's a little kind of zany and over the top. And there it is.
Yeah.
But you can't beat, punch dancing your rage out. I mean, it's just magical. The dance number is magical.
Yeah, I mean, Tommy Boy was at the peak of Chris Farley's
Yeah.
popularity. Kind of his defining role, too.
Yeah. But really, really just showing how good of a pair him and David Spade were.
Yeah.
And, just their chemistry was just really unmatched as a duo. Like, you could put them in any situation as any characters, and they fed off each other so well.
And that was kind of, pretty hot on the heels of Wayne, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Pretty close.
I feel like it was around that
So
time.
still kind of in the era of that.
Yeah.
That, SNL crew.
Yeah. And these are both SNL alum making a movie.
Yeah.
And showing that they can make it beyond the show.
Yeah.
And these are both great examples of that. I mean, Hot Rod was not as successful, I don't think, as Tommy Boy. And maybe not as popular even now to a lot of people. But
Yeah.
for me, it kind of introduced me to Andy Samberg. I mean, I knew he was on SNL, but he was never never on a ton of skits.
Yeah, he was always the digital short guy.
Yeah, but it just let him, kind of go off and do his thing. It's fun. Boy, did he.
I mean, Hot Rod is one of the biggest surprise movies for me
Oh, yeah.
of my whole life.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I had zero expectation for
Oh, yeah. I mean, I went and saw it by myself the first time.
Yeah.
And immediately after, I told everybody I knew and went and saw it with them. I think I saw it 7 times in theaters. But I went with my dad, my brother, I went with my brother-in-law, I went with my friend. You have to go see this movie. It's unbelievable. It's so funny.
Yeah, it is the essence of Andy Samberg.
Yeah.
For me, maybe it's just because of how big a surprise it was for me.
Yeah.
I just love the movie.
I definitely quote both of these movies pretty regularly.
Yeah.
So it is, again, a tough matchup. The game is close. The game's down to the wire, I think.
Very similar philosophies.
Yeah, and very, leaning into what the main character does well. But I think I'm leaning Hot Rod.
I am too.
Unfortunately.
I think it boils down to, like, are you more of an Andy Samberg guy or a Chris Farley guy?
And it's just like, again, I'm kind of both. But I think the surprise, Chris Farley didn't surprise us. He was Chris Farley in Cowboy.
I think I love Andy Samberg more as a leading man than Chris Farley. Like, I like Chris Farley more as a side character.
Yeah. I think Hot Rod has to move on.
Yeah, I think it's Hot Rod too.
All right.
Right along.
Moving along.
All right. Closing out this side bracket.
Okay.
If I can find the names.
Make sure they're good. Make sure they're good, Will.
We've got Superbad.
Oh, boy.
Versus.
I'm scared.
Home Alone.
Ooh. My goodness.
This one hurts my soul.
I feel sorry for you on this one, Will.
Like, all cards on the table. These both are probably maybe my top 5 comedies of all time.
Oh, I think you definitely have family members that play for both schools. And you were like, there was no way they were going to be matched up. And something happened in this tournament.
I'm wearing the split jersey.
Yeah.
This one, Travis.
Yeah. Will's got both sides of the jersey, and he's very sad.
This one is so hard. I don't know. You start us off.
All right. Let's see. Home Alone is Home Alone.
Yeah.
Defining a generation. Still to this day, my kids love this movie.
Yeah.
And so it's a movie that has stood the test of time. And I think will forever. Like, I don't know if we'll ever.
I thought you were calling me up for something.
No.
Will.
And will. It's a staple. Again, it is a funny movie. Definitely different. I wouldn't say, like, let's watch a comedy and you pair these two, like, you would have two completely different audiences.
Yeah.
So Home Alone is definitely more of a family comedy fun ride. Superbad is not for everybody. Superbad did launch some careers, and was a defining moment for John Arrow and Seth Rogen and all those guys. Kind of. Yeah. But yeah, it's a tough one. But I mean, for me, I'm leaning way hard one way.
Wow.
And it's just it's. This is one that they were in separate areas of the world, and somehow the bracket fell how it did, and somehow they're in the Sweet 16 matched up.
This is the kind of matchup that I was worried about the last time around we never got.
Yeah.
We're finally here.
Yeah, we definitely got one in the comedy one.
Yeah. Which I wasn't really expecting.
Yeah. So an unlucky pull for us.
Yeah. This one is one where, like, I would be bummed whichever we eliminate.
Yeah.
But I'm good with whichever one moves forward.
Yeah, that's when you respect both. Your heart is telling you one thing, but you're like, whatever happens though, I'm still happy.
Yeah.
It's not as devastating losing against someone who doesn't deserve it.
I'm gonna have to kind of talk my way through this.
All right, let's talk it through.
So, on the one hand, like you said, Home Alone is a staple for a lot of people, especially my family.
Yeah.
Maybe the movie, quote, more than any other movie. It's at least up there.
Well, it's probably a movie you've seen maybe the most.
At least once a year.
Yeah.
If not more. Superbad. It's just, at least, every generation kind of has its defining, like, high school coming of age comedy.
Yeah.
Superbad is probably that for me. Ironically enough, I wasn't in high school when it came out. I was, freshman, sophomore in college. But still, like, it is kind
Don't date yourself, Will.
I've already done it, Travis. But yeah, it is, like, I can't think of, there aren't many that have come out since that have been like generational, like defining, like high school comedies like that.
I think both in themselves, like movies, haven't really come out that have like really impacted a generation. Like both of them have.
Yeah.
You know, some of the other ones on our list, I don't think were generationally impactful. You know, they're great comedies, but like both of these like define a generation.
One of them launched, like you said, a lot of careers that of actors that still to this day are sort of favorites. Like I'm always gonna go see their movies.
Yeah.
Love Jonah Hill.
Yeah.
Emma Stone. This is her debut, I think.
Yeah. No, it's a lot.
Long way she's got from there. I mean, Seth Rogen, Bill Hader, like so many like powerhouses. People love it. Christopher Mintz-Plasse.
Yeah.
Like he hasn't done too much since Superbad, but
no, but I mean, yeah, this movie really just because I mean, there was a lot of comedies with all of these people, not necessarily in them together, but from this, a lot of success for all of them.
There's one argument I'm going to make against one of these that hurts me to make, but
well, you may not make it to this podcast,
but it gets me. But it gives me the option to potentially have this movie in another bracket somewhere down the line.
Yeah.
And what I'm going to say is Home Alone, while it definitely is a comedy, it is also very much a Christmas movie.
Right.
And so, just based on pure comedy, I think I might have to give the ever so slight nod to Superbad on this one.
Well, I'm going to freeze frame that. Having you say those words is crazy.
Don't do that.
That's the clip. The whole episode.
That's the clip.
In slow motion.
Yeah. I mean, we came into this matchup having to find something
right
to tip the scales.
Well, yeah, somebody's got to win, right? So there's got to be some advantage or disadvantage.
There's not a lot of overlap in the style of comedy.
No.
They're both equally, I think, iconic in their own right.
Yeah. Here's where I'm at. I definitely don't think of Home Alone as a comedy first. I think of it as a Christmas movie first.
Yeah.
So to that, I see the edge to Superbad. I do think of Superbad as a pure comedy. And in the comedy bracket, that's what makes it tough. I definitely like Home Alone more than Superbad.
Yeah.
As a movie. But kind of like we talked about in the action bracket, it's just what this bracket is. Does it have enough to move on for what it is?
I think there are certain matchups like this one where, a different argument might be made for the movie and a different matchup.
Yeah.
But when you have to find a distinguisher in order to move on, you have to kind of isolate arguments like that. So
yeah. I mean, I would pick Home Alone because I like it more. But again, in a comedy bracket, I don't know if your mind goes to that comedy first when it's against Anchormans and Zoolanders and other things. Superbad does fit that more so.
Yeah. This is absolute brutal, Travis.
It is just brutal.
I can't believe I'm discarding Home Alone this early. But, that's
just to give it a fighting chance, I'm going to say Home Alone.
Oh.
And we're going to go to the scores, I think.
My gosh.
That way, it's up to fate what moves on. Because I don't think I can say no Home Alone. But as a comedy, I understand.
Yeah.
Because this definitely would make the Christmas.
Can I strike my argument from
Yeah. I didn't say that. Can the jury forget that?
Can we erase what happened 2 minutes ago?
I think that's the only way to fairly do this, is take it out of both of our hands, because it's too long.
Okay.
How can this been?
This should have been Final Four matchup.
Yeah. Oof. All right, Superbad is 88%, which is a lot higher than I thought it would be. I tried, Kevin. I tried.
You see, you're making her even more, aren't you?
Home Alone 66%.
Oh my god.
Which, that's even worse that I did that.
Baffling. Wow. You made it hurt twice.
I made it hurt twice. Shows you people at Rotten Tomatoes have no idea what they're talking about. But I would say, unfortunately, Superbad moves on. I tried to give Home Alone a shot.
You did. It was valiant effort. That one hurts, Travis.
That's brutal. I think the episode's over. Thanks for watching, guys.
Yeah, it's been really.
All right, well, that was horrible.
That's so bad.
See, that's a final. I mean, it might be a final two matchup in the first,
In my own head.
So I think it gets worse from here. So let's continue it.
Here we go.
Okay.
Next matchup is Vacation.
Vacation. Okay.
Vacation versus Ace Ventura.
Okay.
This
Two of the exact same movies.
exact same. This is an odd matchup.
Yeah, this is definitely two schools you had no idea were even in the tournament, let alone could qualify for the tournament. I think
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, this was like both these schools kind of had their second round games where they just kind of cranked up the defense, made it a messy game.
Yeah.
They obviously both, I think, beat the favorites in their matchups.
Yeah.
And found their way here, and now we're getting this
Now here we are.
ugly game.
Yeah. So definitely, again, like we said, a strange matchup. I'll go ahead and start with Ace Ventura, since I can speak to that one. Vacation, I cannot really speak to. Ace, I can't. A part of Jim Carrey's crazy run in the 90s. I think this was the crazy year.
In 1994.
Yeah. This was this, and then a few months later, Dumb and Dumber, which is a wild back-to-back.
That's ridiculous.
I mean, I don't think we've had a year from an actor that has rivaled three movies that are so iconic to their filmography in the same year.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard enough for actors to be in more than one movie a year.
It was kind of his, not necessarily introduction to the world, but as
I mean, he took it by storm.
leading
Oh,
star.
yeah, for sure. Ace is very quotable. It's, Jim Carrey has a lot of hits.
Yeah.
He doesn't miss too often. And if he does, it's not by terrible margins.
Yeah, Jim Carrey himself isn't missing usually.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
the script.
Yeah, I mean, he does the best he can with, some of the material. But Ace is a great wild ride of a movie. It's just absolutely insanity. This is, again, a very unrealistic person in real life.
Jim Carrey is at an 11.
Yeah, oh yeah. For the whole movie, he never stops. Vacation is definitely more down to earth and more overall enjoyable comedy.
Yeah, I think just about any character is more down to earth than Ace Ventura.
That's true. That's true. He would have been more down to earth with anybody in this bracket, but
yeah.
I mean, Ace is one of the ones when I think of comedy. That movie's definitely in there, and that character, and just the wild stuff he does in that movie. I mean, the memes you get from that movie. I mean, it's just you get so much content from this.
Yeah. I'll be the argument for Vacation here.
Okay.
I mean, Vacation's coming off the heels of Caddyshack for Chevy Chase. I'm probably in the minority compared to a lot of people that prefer First Vacation to Christmas Vacation. I can concede that's probably an argument against Vacation.
Yeah.
Is that more people prefer Christmas?
Yeah.
But I love the first Vacation. You know, it's the introduction to Clark Griswold.
Yeah.
You know, it's not quite as like over the top as Ace Ventura.
Yeah.
But there are some pretty crazy moments in this one. You know, whether it be with the crazy grandma, his crazy family they come across.
Yeah.
You know, the seniors getting out of town. You know, there's a lot of great moments in Vacation that are iconic. You know, introduction to the station wagon,
Right.
Wally World. Like, it's a great one. Like I said, I do prefer the original, but yeah, it's definitely going up against a tough one, just because one, you do have that factor of like, is it even the best movie in the series?
Right.
And also like Ace Ventura, I think, is definitely more iconic.
Yeah.
Partner as well.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I mean, there's for sure another movie in this bracket that I'll have much more to say when it comes to Jim Carrey.
Yeah.
But yeah, this one's tough. As much as I want to argue for Vacation, it's tough to move past.
Yeah, I think this matchup kind of really.
Argue that Jim Carrey's most tough.
Yeah, I think Vacation hit. Like they had a couple wins that were shocking, but then they hit probably more of a powerhouse than
too much firepower.
Yeah, and I think they lost it at halftime. And
yeah, I don't necessarily think
Ace did some unorthodox ways to score points that they weren't expecting.
It was one of those games that was a little messy. You know, Ace Ventura was a little bit more polished down the stretch.
He had a lot of shot clock violations.
Right.
So they're like, oh, we have a shot.
Right.
Yeah, I think Ace has to move on in this case.
I would concur.
All right, next matchup.
We've got Groundhog Day.
Oh, no, well. This could be bad for you.
Versus Bridesmaids.
Will, I think it's bad for you.
You know what, Travis? I won't give away the lead, but I'm feeling based on previous conversations, I know where this matchup's going to go. But
I mean, Groundhog Day is. I mean, it's an iconic movie. It's definitely. It's one I forget about when we're talking about lists and other movies. Like, it's always there, but I forget to include it in the areas where it makes sense to include it.
Yeah.
Bridesmaids is definitely louder and more in your face. It takes the form of the Superbad.
Yeah.
Kind of like, here's this comedy. Here's what it is. A little more in your face about it. Yeah. But again, Bill Murray.
Yeah.
Enough said.
It's an upset for me, honestly.
Yeah.
I mean, we've talked before about my love for Bill Murray.
Yeah.
Maybe my favorite comedic actor. Yeah, Groundhog Day holds a special place in my heart.
Yeah.
It's again.
There's a lot of movies that hold special place in your heart.
I
And
know.
this
The movie's true.
This list was Will's list.
This is tough. I think so far it's been much tougher on me.
Yeah, I told you this is gonna be a comment for you.
Yeah.
Because the ones that I've had matched up, it was not as part of a decision.
Yeah. But yeah, like Bridesmaids is great. It's it's not a new movie by any stretch. At this point it's creeping up to 15 years old.
Yeah.
But yeah, Groundhog Day is just it's the standard for time loop movies.
Yeah.
Maybe Bill Murray, Ghostbusters is probably more iconic for him, but
right.
For me it's my favorite Bill Murray movie.
Well, yeah, and it sets kind of like ones we were talking about in the action list, that movies copy this format of a movie and make their own version of it.
Yeah.
The time loop
It's not was first, I don't think.
No, but it's definitely the most memorable.
Yeah.
And definitely the one people copy. Like, how time is used is definitely this one's copied the most.
Yeah.
So again, that's a tough. I'll give the hot take. I'm not a fan of Bridesmaids at all.
Yeah.
So for me, this is not a hard decision.
I don't think this is a hard decision. For me, it's not as easy.
It's an upsetting matchup.
Yeah, I'm not
early.
I'm not happy about knocking Bridesmaids out.
Yeah.
But it's for me, at least in this bracket, it's a come up against a little bit of us.
Yeah. Well, we've talked off camera about how much you love this movie. I will give it another shot with Will in mind. I think I watched it with the wrong people.
Yeah.
That has happened.
Yeah.
Sometimes you watch movies with the wrong people, and it
You're talking about Bridesmaids.
Yeah. And it sets the tone in your head of that movie sucked. But did it suck, or did the company you watched it with? I think that's a whole list in itself. Movies that you need to revisit because you watched it with the wrong people.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think Groundhog's Day.
Groundhog's Day moves on. It wasn't too much of a argument for me,
but not one you want to see this early in the brackets.
Yeah,
I mean, later round meeting.
There's plenty of heavy hitters in this bracket, so I'm not surprised to see a matchup like that. It's not as brutal as some other ones we've had so far.
Yeah.
But yeah, tough for me. All right, next round we have The Hangover versus Rush Hour 2.
Okay.
Talk about a weird matchup.
Ironically, both take place partly in Vegas. Rush Hour 2 ends up in Vegas.
That's true.
It inspired The Hangover.
They're both Vegas movies.
Vegas movies. What a weird.
Should have had Vegas Vacation.
There you go. Oh man, I love the Rush Hour franchise.
Yeah.
All of them.
They're best.
They're so good, and the chemistry between Jackie Chan and Chris Tucker is just, it's unmatched.
Yeah.
And we haven't had something that has copied that to the same level of just pure, everything they say is just pure gold.
Yeah.
The Hangover movie was also a pretty defining movie for the comedy genre, and it really, I think it was one of the highest grossing R-rated comedies of all time. And and it really just that one was a surprise. I didn't really see a lot of marketing for it before, but when I went and saw it, it was just so much funnier and so much better than the initial idea. Like,
it was a cultural moment.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah.
Like, I think you may be underrating the marketing for it.
Yeah, I don't remember a lot of it.
I think we might talk about this in another episode too, but I remember like the trailer for it kind of caught people by storm, and people were like quoting the trailer.
Yeah, quoting the trailer
before like the movie.
Yeah,
and like it's one of those movies that like you're always worried that the trailer gave away all the best bits.
Yeah,
to an extent, it gave away a lot of them.
It did, but I think the movie enhanced all of those moments.
Yeah,
a lot farther than we initially thought.
The movie lived up to that.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And that's hard to do.
It spawned a franchise.
Yeah,
like
maybe for a word,
not as good as the Rush Hour franchise.
Yeah,
but again, like we said, comedy sequels are hard to get green light, and because you're just like, I don't know if we can strike gold twice. And how can you do the same story again and again? But they did it. They tried. Yeah, The Hangover is definitely. All of these movies on this list are in our top, favorite comedies. That's why they're on this bracket. But
one thing I will maybe argue against in terms of Rush Hour 2. In the same vein that, we talked about Home Alone as like, we think of it as Christmas movie first,
right?
Then comedy. Rush Hour is definitely more comedy than action.
Right.
But there still is a lot of
Oh yeah, I'd say it's 50-50.
It's pretty 50.
It's not, a lot lean one way and label it as that. But no, this one is pretty like, you take the comedy out, it's still a cool action movie. You take the action out, it's still a funny comedy.
Yeah. So for me, like this movie would be like such a toss up. Like it could have made her action.
Right. Yeah.
It's got a lot of great action.
Yeah, it does.
Like some of Jackie Chan's best work.
Yeah. No, it really does. But I think comedy matchup, I think The Hangover was more impactful.
Yeah.
And long lasting and still quoted, still revisited. Rush Hour is not as big of a following, I guess I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I mean at the time I think it was.
Yeah.
It's it's weird. Like, again, we kind of have to make this distinction with matchups like this.
Yeah. You got to find a weakness or an advantage.
There's also something to be said about kind of the way we've approached these brackets so far, too, which a lot of the time we tend to lean on the original of the series over like the sequels. Like, there's been a few exceptions, but and I think we're on the same page that Rush Hour 2 is the best of the series. Yeah. But even still, like, Hangover is such a, that concept.
What kind of, made a lot of comedies spawn after that? Some movies come along and they're like, oh, we need to copy that format and genre. Yeah. Some comedies, sometimes there's not very many new ones or not very good. And then you get one like this, and then now there's a ton of new ones that are similar feel and vibe. Yeah.
Same concept.
Right. So I think, unfortunately, for Rush Hour, they met their match in this bracket, and Hangover has to be on.
Yeah, I think so too. Final matchup of the bracket.
Okay.
I can't remember. I know what one of these is going to be. I can't remember what the other is.
Yeah, I know what it is. It's a rough one.
We've got Happy Gilmore. Yep. Versus Dumb and Dumber.
That's a rough one. That's a rougher one.
Yeah, I think this is going to be rougher on you. Potentially.
Maybe.
But, no, this is where
both
discussion about.
Both. Unfortunately, Adam Sandler's lone movie on this bracket. He had a run in the 90s, as well as Jim Carrey, that was pretty good. Pretty good.
Not necessarily as,
no,
contained of a run, but...
No, but yeah, definitely pretty strong.
Yeah. There were a number of years, I would necessarily... Jim Carrey and Adam Sandler kind of had moments that were, parallel.
Yeah, kind of. And their character, Happy Gilmore to me is one of Adam Sandler's more normal characters.
Yeah. I would agree.
Where he's got some anger problems, but he's pretty normal. He's not like Ace Ventura, Lloyd Christmas, just outrageous characters. You could see him in the street and you're just whatever. Yeah, wouldn't think anything of it. But both great comedies. They're both great comedies. They're both great movies.
I think it's Adam Sandler's best.
Yeah.
I mean, it's usually in the conversation for usually top 2.
Yeah.
At the very least.
Yeah. Definitely it's quotable. Definitely has some great, quotable moments, some great fun moments. But I think Dumb and Dumber has a little more quotable moments and
I talked about Home Alone earlier. The bracket as being maybe I quote the most.
Yeah.
It might also be.
Yeah, I don't think I go through a day without quoting a line from Dumb and Dumber.
Yeah.
To some extent.
Yeah.
Happy Gilmore, not as much. Not very many one-liners that hit you.
Dumb and Dumber is one of those movies that I literally think if I just sat down and I could not necessarily recite the whole movie, but
pretty close.
Tell you the whole movie beat for beat.
If I got paid $1 for every time I said my pet's heads are falling off in a situation in my life.
Yeah.
I could buy a couple houses. Well,
I wish that was a thing.
I know. I wish. Please start doing that. But I don't know. It's so relatable. You can relate it to so many different areas of your life, and especially with kids.
What's the story?
Yeah. No, just like the funny moments from it.
Oh, okay.
Like you can relate those to a situation in your life and lean into that.
Not to make you say what story?
You've never returned a briefcase, the love of your life, or leaving it at the airport.
Yeah.
To me, this matchup's not as. It looks worse on paper, but I think Dumb and Dumber to me takes it.
Yeah.
In this.
For me, Dumb and Dumber is a tournament favorite.
Yeah.
I think Happy Gilmore, they're a team. They're not necessarily like a blue blood.
Yeah.
But like, they made their fair share of tournaments.
Yeah.
They usually make a pretty decent run, but usually it's not to the finals.
Yeah.
And it just came up, any other matchup, if it was put in a different bracket, it might have potentially.
And again, all of these in the Sweet 16 have a shot to make it pretty far, depending on how the matchups line up.
Yeah.
And that's what's fun about just randomly doing it, because it's like we have no 1 seed to 16 seed in our head.
Sometimes you have to rip your own heart out, Travis.
Yeah. Sometimes Will has to really struggle, which I feel bad for Will.
Yeah, how did you feel that bad, Travis?
I tried to help.
You did try to help.
Dumb and Dumber moves on. He has to.
All right, we have our.
All right, Travis, we got our Elite Eight. Gonna be a bloodbath moving forward. Let's go ahead and get into it.
Let the bathing begin.
Let the bathing begin. All right, first matchup: Wedding Crashers versus Anchorman.
Okay.
This is a tough one.
It's tough.
Sort of, similar era.
Yeah.
Not the same kind of comedy per se, but
No, but I feel like it's similar vibe. You feel?
a lot of crossover actors.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's kind of what makes this one tough. Again, I think this kind of boils down to iconic character
Yeah.
versus iconic comedy duo.
Yeah. 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 It definitely seems that way. Yeah, both respectable, great comedies.
Yeah.
I mean, they're in the Elite Eight for a reason.
Yeah.
Again, here on out,
No easy matchups.
it's
here.
no easy matchups. I'm leaning one way. I'm leaning Anchorman
Yeah.
just because it was, I think, bigger for Will Ferrell's career and comedy.
It launched an era of comedy that was like the Will Ferrell era. I feel like
Yeah.
he kind of took the reins as like the leading actor
Yeah.
when it came to comedies.
Yeah.
It was because of Anchorman.
Yeah, absolutely.
Again, just watched Wedding Crashers recently, and it holds up. It's
Yeah.
great. Lot of great moments. Definitely. Kind of like we talked about in a previous matchup. Anchorman's story is a little bit thin,
Yeah.
but on purpose.
Right.
Like it's more about these ridiculous characters.
Right.
Very over the top at times.
Oh yeah.
Both of his can be, but like you mentioned earlier, Wedding Crashers is a little more grounded.
Yeah.
I would tend to agree. Anchorman is just one of those movies that comes along, kind of defines an era of comedy.
Yeah.
Not that Wedding Crashers didn't have its stamp,
Right.
but
I mean, I used to have an outgoing message on my cell phone that was Ron Burgundy,
yeah.
and I recorded the whole thing, and it was
Can you not help yourself but sing the Scotch song whenever you pour a glass of Scotch?
Of course.
Like,
And I often walk around outside in the blazing heat and think milk is a bad choice.
milk is a bad choice, Travis.
Yeah, I think for me, Anchorman's just more defining of a movie for an actor and a character. I mean, Ron Burgundy has done a lot of things as Ron Burgundy outside of this movie, which is like a crazy.
That is true.
Not a lot of characters get to have a life in the real world as the characters. So
Yeah.
I feel like I have to lean that way.
I do too. Again, not an easy matchup
No.
per se, but
It's a close game.
a little more defined than I think initially you think it would be.
Yeah.
So
Anchorman.
Anchorman. All right, Anchorman into the final four.
All right.
Next matchup.
Next one.
Elite Eight matchup. We've got another brutal one. I feel like this is going to be a knockdown, drag out, Travis.
Okay.
We've got Hot Rod versus Superbad. I think same year.
07?
07.
It feels like it.
Yeah.
These both have a similar, not necessarily the movies are similar, but I feel like the experience as a comedy viewer, you get similar experiences.
Yeah.
Again, one is obviously way more popular than the other, but
yeah,
I think we knew Superbad was going to be pretty good. Like, I don't think it was as big of a shock as Hot Rod was. Hot Rod was a complete shock. Like, honestly, didn't really know anything about it. Watched it, unbelievable.
Yeah.
Superbad, I knew a lot, like, going into it, like, what to expect, and it delivered what you expected.
Yeah, you knew what movie you were getting.
Right.
With Superbad. Hot Rod, like I mentioned before, had no idea.
No idea.
Was totally blown away.
Yeah.
You know, going into that theater, I would never have in a million years guessed that it would be one of my favorite comedies of all time.
Oh, yeah.
And that it is that.
Yeah.
Problem is, both these movies are.
Yeah.
Both of these movies firmly in my top 10.
Yeah.
I think there was something you said a minute ago. Maybe I'm just making it up in my head, but
If it sounds good, I'll take credit.
you'll take credit for it. Hot Rod is definitely a specific brand of humor that is not going to hit everybody.
Right.
It hit me the right way.
Yeah.
But Superbad is one of those, like, you know, we've kind of talked about this before. It has that cable TV watchability factor to it.
Yeah.
And it's just, it's one of those movies that's equally hilarious, but also kind of a comfort movie.
Yeah. Yeah, and I feel the same way about Hot Rod.
About Hot Rod.
It's the same thing. And I think for me, maybe I just haven't seen Superbad enough. I mean, I've seen it a bunch.
Yeah.
But to me, like, I go back to when we made, you know, our emotions episode and how Hot Rod was the falling down the mountain was like one of the funniest scenes, and like again it's the whole movie carries that throughout the whole thing.
Yeah.
Superbad to me doesn't have a moment in the movie that made me laugh as hard as that. It is funny throughout, but
Yeah.
I never reached that point.
Yeah.
So I think that's why, like, I would go back to that over Superbad. For
I get
me.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, this isn't an easy decision for me by any stretch, but I do think I'm leaning the other direction with this one. It's just, yeah, I do think there are some moments in Hot Rod that are, like, more laugh out loud funny.
Right.
I think there is more overall funny in Superbad, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Again, really tough decision. Both these movies firmly in my top 10 comedies, but
Yeah.
Superbad, like I said, just hits on a number of different levels for me.
Right.
And, you know, it just launched the career of so many different, you know, comedic actors, as well as, you know, Emma Stone,
Oh, yeah.
a bunch of her career. Yeah, it just has.
Well, we got a lot of Superbads after Superbad.
Yeah, like I said, it did.
It inspired a whole, not subgenre, but like type of movie.
Yeah.
Type of comedy. Hot Rod didn't do anything for the careers or
No.
really anything. It was kind of like a unicorn. It just popped out, was amazing, and then went away.
I've always considered Hot Rod as kind of taking the torch from, like, Adam Sandler movies. Like,
Yeah.
I've always thought of it kind of like the spiritual sequel to Billy Madison.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not because of the plot necessarily, but just because of the tone.
Yeah,
and
the feel.
characters in
Yeah,
it.
yeah. Well, it definitely feels like Adam Sandler would have made a movie that felt like this
For sure.
back in the 90s. So it's like,
almost Waterboy-ish.
yeah, it has a lot of
Again-
Adam Sandler.
Again,
elements.
not the
Yeah.
same, you know, plot or characters, but
Yeah.
kind of similar to that. But
Yeah.
I do think we're at a standstill on this one,
Yeah.
and so
All right.
we'll
All right. Okay. With flying colors, Superbad moves on with an 88 Rotten Tomatoes, as Hot Rod is left with a 39,
Oh my gosh!
which is outrageously low.
You know, comedy is a weird thing.
Comedy, yeah.
That doesn't totally surprise me because, again, we talked about Hot Rod is a very specific type of humor.
Yeah.
And, the fact that it hit for less than half of critics, it makes sense.
So Superbad moves on to the final.
Another one that hurts, maybe not as bad as the previous matchup with Superbad.
Superbad's going to do a lot of damage to some teams.
Superbad has so far the toughest.
It's so far ripped
fight
both
for.
of our hearts out
Yeah.
and stomped on it.
All right, 2 matchups down on the Elite Eight, 2 more to go.
All right, let's do it.
Next matchup, we have Ace Ventura versus Groundhog Day.
Yeah. 2 absolutely wildly different characters.
2 wildly different.
I mean, Ace is more like the groundhog.
Ace is the groundhog for sure. Ace probably prefers the groundhog.
Yeah. This one's kind of a hard matchup because, again, I don't get the same feeling or the same, not vibe, but, overall experience is so different.
Oh, yeah.
They're both rewatchable, but again, different.
Different rewatchable.
It's a different day of the week. You're not going to do a double feature of that.
Yeah.
It's a weird matchup.
This one for me, it's fairly straightforward matchup for me, but I think it boils down to one movie has the more iconic character.
Yeah.
And the other, I feel like, is a more iconic story.
Yeah. So character versus plot or story, yeah.
Yeah. One, like we talked about, has a lot of copycats.
Yeah.
Um,
There's not really another Ace Ventura.
yeah. I mean, honestly, probably my top 2 favorite comedic performers of all time.
Yeah. Yeah.
This one has a little, like I said, not pretty straightforward in my subjective opinion, but even taking that away, there is looking ahead in the tournament. There's another movie where I'll have a chance to defend an actor that just holds a lot more weight for me.
Yeah. Yeah. I think this matchup is a case of looking at the rest of the bracket and the rest of what's to come.
Yeah.
And makes a decision.
Yeah.
For us. It is tough because, again, you get different vibes. You just get different, emotions from it. They're both funny and they just do different things. Obviously, Ace Ventura is not really heartfelt at all or has an underlining story of, I want to be a better person. It's just wild.
I think a lot of animal lovers have an appreciation for Ace Ventura.
Yeah.
It's definitely very much pro animal.
Yeah, very much.
So I mean, I think there's that element with it where I get what you're saying about there's not exactly a lot of heart in the story itself,
right?
But there's elements of Ace Ventura's character, that I think resonate with a lot of people.
Yeah, this is tough.
Yeah,
this one's tough.
I think where I'm leaning with this one.
I think so.
But I'm willing to listen on if you have a differing.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you just ask me which one do I think is funnier?
Yeah,
I would think Ace is funnier. But again, Ace didn't spawn a whole thing of movies. Yeah. That comes into account on these brackets for me. It's impact and more so than just the jokes.
Yeah.
But I think I would pick Ace Ventura.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's funnier,
Yeah.
and it is a comedy bracket, but
Yeah.
it's tough.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely, there's a lot more from Groundhog Day for me that stands out. I mean, the whole sequence with him just learning all these different skills.
Yeah.
The constant recurring bit with Ned and the puddle and the conflict there and punch him in the face.
Yeah.
You know, his interaction with the actual groundhog. Just the creative deaths that he starts experiencing. Plus, I mean, there is a lot of heart to the movie too.
Yeah.
Like it's, you know, we talked about it before when discussing kind of rom-coms. Like, I consider it one of my favorite rom-coms too.
Yeah, I mean, because the underlying story is there's a romance that he's trying to figure out how to be the guy that she wants. It's tough. I would pick Ace Ventura, but knowing what's else on the bracket, it's like, do we just want it to be a Jim Carrey slugfest? I mean, I don't know.
I mean, we could, but I am leaning Groundhog Day.
Yeah.
But I'm willing to go to the critics on this one.
Yeah, this one I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know.
It's hard to say.
I say let's do it. I don't think I can give one the.
Okay.
I think this bracket has been a lot of let's just let fate decide. All right, Ace Ventura with a whopping 47% score.
Okay.
That's about where you would think it would be.
It's again. He's on an 11. Like it's Jim Carrey going. His Jim Carreyest.
It's his Jim Carreyest he's ever been.
Yeah.
So and blowing it out of the water with a 94%. It's Groundhog Day. So
you know, Travis, the last bracket, you edged me out with all the tiebreakers.
I did. This one you got me.
I'm coming back.
Rope-a-dope you this one.
It's all right. Groundhog Day moves on.
All right.
To the final four.
All right, our last Elite Eight matchup, we have The Hangover versus Dumb and Dumber.
Wow.
I'll be honest, you know, as great as The Hangover is, this one feels like they're kind of out of their...
I think it's a lopsided
depths.
affair.
Yeah.
I honestly don't know if it was close at any point besides at the beginning of the game when it was 0-0.
Yeah.
I think they're just... Dumb and Dumber is probably the favorite. Yeah. And The Hangover was not a favorite.
Yeah.
It just was, kind of a middle of the pack seed. And when you meet the 1 or 2 seed,
it's Hangover's from a power conference.
Yeah.
Pretty heavily stacked. They probably got 8 teams in the tournament. Hangover was one of them.
Yeah.
And got a favorable draw.
Yeah.
Enough where they could make a deep run to the Elite Eight.
Yeah.
But I think the story ends here.
I think it does. Yeah. And as much as I love it and how funny it is, Dumb and Dumber, like we said earlier.
Yeah. Dumb and Dumber might have the worst sequel of the 2 series.
Yeah, I think it definitely does.
But we're talking first movie.
Yeah. Dumb and Dumber easily moves on to the final four.
Yeah.
Hey, sometimes in the bracket, it's a blowout and you're like, yeah. Nice try. But, hey, you did make the bracket, so final four it is.
Final four. All right, Travis, we've got our final four in the comedy bracket. We've got our final four are Anchorman, Superbad, Groundhog Day, and Dumb and Dumber. I tell you what, man. No easy decisions for the final four.
Nope.
Much less the Elite Eight, but got some iconic comedic actors in this.
Yeah.
Three of them at least have pretty iconic comedic actors. One's a little bit more ensemble.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, let's go ahead and talk about the first matchup because I think the second one is going to be even more of a bloodbath.
Yeah.
So, first matchup of the final four, we got Anchorman versus Superbad.
Yeah, this is a crazy matchup.
Yeah.
You got
Two
a
wildly-
mustache versus some high schoolers.
The mustache versus some high schoolers. Yeah, two wildly different comedies.
Oh yeah, I mean, again, Superbad more of an ensemble of it,
Yeah.
all of them, but Anchorman has a great ensemble cast as well. It's two teams, kind of.
Yeah.
You know, it's again.
Channel 4?
Yeah.
Channel
Yeah.
4 news team?
Yeah. This is an interesting matchup.
Yeah.
Again, when you get to the Final Four, there's definitely these four teams deserve to be in the Final Four, so they're going to have all the weapons and defense they need to move on. So it's just who can outlast the other one.
Yeah. Again, this kind of has a similar feel to it as the last matchup Superbad had with Hot Rod.
Yeah.
Because Hot Rod and Anchorman, similar, like, silly comedy styles.
Yeah.
I think Superbad has more of a relatability to it. Like,
For sure.
I think that one that one plays well with more people, with more audiences than Anchorman. I think Anchorman is probably more quotable.
Yeah.
We talked before about how iconic the character of Ron Burgundy is, and how that is kind of Will Ferrell's, like,
It's his go-to. I mean,
yeah.
I mean, he's done, like I said, so much stuff outside of the movie with the character.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. That's a crazy thing.
Yeah.
Like where he was a security guard at a Lakers game.
I remember
Like,
doing the
crazy.
Yeah. I remember doing the promotional campaign for it, how he appeared as a Sports Center anchor.
Yeah.
On ESPN.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I mentioned before about, like, Superbad is definitely more of an ensemble piece.
Yeah.
Like an ensemble comedy. But you were absolutely correct when you mentioned, so is Anchorman. It just it's more, I don't know, the individual characters are more distinct in Anchorman than in Superbad. Like, yeah. So, like, not that they don't work well as an ensemble as well, but like,
could any of them have their own movie on their own and have the same impact? I think Ron Burgundy could be without the rest of the team.
Yeah.
And still,
he can do his own adventure.
I mean, he goes out in the movie when he's, you know, on his own for a while, and
I'd watch a Brick Tamland movie.
Yeah.
It might not be as good.
It might be insane.
That would be, I now I kind of want that side quest movie, Travis.
That'd be a great side quest movie.
Yeah. I don't know. It's interesting because up until this point, I think, like I mentioned before, Superbad has had a really tough road to get here.
Yeah.
Very worthy member of the Final Four.
Yeah.
And honestly, like, I think they stack up well with just about anybody. Like, nothing is an easy pick.
Yeah.
At this point, but strangely enough, I'm kind of leaning Anchorman.
Yeah.
Which I didn't think I would be, but just kind of looking at the potential matchup next round and kind of the kind of comedy it is, I think it's bolder.
Yeah, and like, you know, what it did for Will Ferrell, like it made him a leading man.
Yeah.
Superbad, I don't think made any of the three leading characters.
Yeah.
And
Emma Stone.
Yeah, one you didn't expect.
Yeah.
But I definitely think, like, that was, like, kind of my introduction to Will Ferrell.
Yeah.
And kind of, like, I was obsessed with that movie.
Everyone was quoting Ron Burgundy.
Yeah, and it's just, like, Ron Burgundy's kind of a fun guy to be in his world.
Yeah.
Like, and Superbad is just more, like, just less of a character and more of, like, these kids exist at most high schools.
Yeah.
But Ron Burgundy is, like, so, like, iconic. It's just an iconic character.
Yeah.
That I think I, too, am leaning Anchorman.
Yeah. It's strange for me to say because I made the argument in a previous round. Like, Superbad just has that rewatch. I mean, all these movies have great rewatchability.
Yeah.
But Superbad just has that comfort level to it.
Yeah.
And, like, if I'm like picking between these two movies, it's like which one I usually want to watch. It's usually Superbad. I mean, like I've definitely seen Superbad way more than I've seen Anchorman. But again, like you've made the argument in the past, you've moved movies on in these brackets based on impact.
Yeah.
Anchorman definitely, I think, edges it out in that area.
I think it does. And again, I think it was a close game, but it's like everybody knew that it was going to come down to one thing that Anchorman was better at than Superbad.
Yeah.
And that is their Achilles heel. That
Superbad was a poor free throw shooting team.
Yeah. And so at the end they just fouled them and they just couldn't score.
Yeah.
So I think Anchorman moves to the final two.
Okay. Honestly, kind of a surprise finalist.
Yeah, and again, not how the matchups were going to go. Mm-hmm. Like, I didn't think I would have to talk about some of the earlier round ones at that time. I thought it would be more like an Elite Eight conversation, and then, who knows? You switch one of the brackets to another one, and we have a completely different Final Four. And so, but I think Ron Burgundy earned his spot in the finals, so.
There it is.
All right.
This next matchup, this is going to hurt me maybe more than the Superbad Home Alone matchup.
Yeah.
We've got Groundhog Day
and
Dumb and Dumber.
Yeah.
Do you know Letterboxd?
Yes.
These two movies are both in my Letterboxd 4, if that says anything to you.
Then it's tough. This is tough.
This one's going to be crazy.
Yeah, that's tough. Yeah, and again, very different comedies, different feels.
Very different.
Everything's different.
Yeah.
I think, to me, there was a surprise in Dumb and Dumber of how good Jeff Daniels was.
Oh, yeah.
Like, on paper, you're like, oh, that's probably not going to work. And it, absolutely was a surprise duo where you're like, wow.
Yeah.
Whatever they saw, I get it now.
Yeah.
But like before, you're just like, I don't know about that.
They're honestly the ultimate duo, I think, of this whole bracket.
Yeah. Well, and I think the cool thing about it is Jeff Daniels, he stands up with Jim Carrey and goes blow for blow, which is like so difficult to do.
He probably has maybe the funniest moments in the movie.
Yeah.
Are Jim Carrey is great as Lloyd Christmas. But the toilet scene.
Yeah.
With Jeff Daniels.
The snowball in the face.
The snowball fight. Yeah.
It's wild that he was able to just, meet match the level that Jim Carrey was putting out.
Yeah. And
because if he didn't, the movie really wouldn't have worked.
Yeah.
To where it's only funny when Jim is in the movie.
He weirdly, at the same time, matches the level of Jim Carrey.
Yeah.
But is also weirdly a good balance to Jim Carrey.
Yeah.
At the same time.
It's when you dissect that movie, it's wild that it happened and how it happened and how it works so well.
It's the perfect way of showing how to do quote unquote dumb comedy.
Yeah.
But it's really smart, actually.
Yeah. No, it is.
The situations are dumb.
Yeah.
But the writing is smart.
Oh yeah. It's great. I fell off the jetway again. Again.
Yeah. Yeah, there's so many nuanced moments in it that are end up being my favorite parts of the movie as opposed, it's got so many quotable lines.
Yeah. And now leaning the other way, the movie does completely different things than Dumb and Dumber does.
Groundhog Day, yeah.
Yeah, but where it's you still want to be with Bill Murray and you enjoy the ride that he's going on.
Yeah.
You enjoy how, sarcastic and kind of rude he starts out and
yeah,
how he's really not paying attention to anybody but himself. and seeing that switch, and seeing how he sees the, maybe I just should be a better person.
Yeah.
Basically, it's great and it's fun. It's a fun rewatch, even though. I mean, it's like the movie. Like you're like living out the movie when you rewatch it again. You're stuck in this infinite loop, and loops are just fun to, see how they're going to handle the next day of this loop differently.
Groundhog Day has two of my favorite things in movies, Travis: Bill Murray comedy and time loops.
I mean, this movie was made for you, Will.
It was, which is weird. I don't know. It's definitely kind of apples and oranges when it comes to the comedy style. Groundhog Day has actually got like a character arc.
Yeah, absolutely.
Lloyd and Harry don't really change at the end of the movie.
No, they stay themselves.
Things happen that they have to persevere through.
Yeah. But I also think it's to their advantage, right?
Yeah.
They're like, through even having all the money and having all this stuff, they still stay themselves.
Some of my favorite comedies in general, I don't really look for character change.
There's really not a character arc.
Some of the best sitcoms of all time, the characters don't change.
They're the same the whole time.
Always the same. They don't learn anything.
Yeah.
This one, again, really tough for me.
Yeah.
Two of my all-time favorite movies. Just don't even talk comedy.
Right.
But weirdly enough, I am leaning a direction fairly strongly.
Mm-hmm.
Like, whenever you say comedy, it's like Dumb and Dumber is the first one that pops in my head.
Yeah. Yeah, same. And I think, and again, this one's so hard because they're so different, like comedy.
Yeah.
They both offer something, but like we talked about early in the bracket, like when you sit down to watch a comedy, Dumb and Dumber checks all the boxes with flying colors.
Which one's going to make me laugh more?
And it's still funny.
Yeah.
Like I still have like choke moments laughing, and I've seen it, 50 times.
Yeah.
So I think for that reason in the comedy bracket, I can't not have a Jim Carrey performance like that has just stuck with me for so long.
We had multiple Jim Carreys in this bracket. It was inevitable.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of them had to be in the final.
Yeah.
And to do it at the expense of Groundhog Day hurts me.
Yeah.
I'm getting hurt a lot in this bracket.
Well, this bracket was designed to rip your heart out, and I think it's done that.
But it also brings me joy to move Dumb and Dumber into the final.
Yep.
So that's
Dumb and
where we
Dumber.
stand. Okay, Travis. All right.
Final two.
We reached the final two. Very similar energies.
Yeah.
I think subconsciously we were kind of almost. These were almost magnetized.
Yeah, and I think kind of like the action bracket, there was, regardless of the matchups, there was two that were gonna find their way to win.
Yeah.
To get to where they needed to be, and it seems like it was written on the wall that we were gonna have a Ron Burgundy versus a Jim Carrey of some sort.
Both stupid.
Yeah.
But smart. Stupid,
smart. Both. I would love for Ron Burgundy to be the one they picked up hitchhiking. I think it would be just a wild ride.
The crossover I didn't realize I wanted.
It'd be so good. It'd be even better if Ron Burgundy was playing the character trying to kill him, and so he just does, but it's Ron Burgundy the whole time. But no, both iconic for Will Ferrell and Jim Carrey.
Yeah.
Again, Dumb and Dumber is a package deal. Mm-hmm. You don't have it without the other.
Yeah.
Like you need Lloyd and Harry, like for it to work.
Yeah.
Ron, we talked about how you could take him out on his own and still achieve the same effect that the movie has for the most part.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of like 2 versus 1. It seems like
a little bit. Yeah. I mean, this is definitely 2000s style silly humor
Yeah.
with probably the quintessential comedy actor of the 2000s.
Yeah.
With, the quintessential 90s comedy actor.
Yeah.
Both at the peak. These are, I believe, the two
Both
peaks
peak
of
movies.
their like filmography. Like,
Yeah.
not that they both didn't have a lot of great come out afterwards.
Right.
But still,
But these two were just like the top of their game.
yeah.
Everything worked.
Yeah. In terms of impact, I can't remember how early in the Farrelly brothers' career Dumb and Dumber was.
Relatively
early.
Yeah.
So like, it definitely spawned like subsequent like great Farrelly brother comedies.
Yeah.
In terms of like cultural impact, I don't know that Dumb and Dumber necessarily had the cultural impact
No.
that Anchorman did. Not that either were necessarily like far, like, or not that Anchorman's cultural impact was necessarily that far reaching.
Right.
It still kind of came out in an era where there were a few different like comedy prototypes that were being pushed out. Like, that was kind of in the middle of like the Judd Apatow era.
Yeah.
If not just a tiny bit before. But
Yeah. No, it was around that time.
yeah.
Both very, when I think of comedy, these both always are at the top of the list. Both so quotable.
Yeah.
Fun rewatches. I think where I'm leaning a little bit is I know a lot more people that are willing to watch Dumb and Dumber over Anchorman because Will Ferrell is sometimes just harder. His humor is harder to just anybody to get into. But they're both, I mean, it's close. It's a very close matchup. I think this one's tough for me. It really is because, I think of both of these.
Yeah.
Like when you're like, oh man, what's the funniest movie? And like they're both in that top.
They're laugh out loud all the way through.
All the way through.
Yeah.
From beginning to end. It's just it's hard to think of comedy movies without these two.
Yeah.
So a fitting matchup for the end. Definitely one for the ages. Like this was,
Yeah.
This was a crazy
2-1 seats.
Yeah, championship game.
Yeah. These inevitably kind of come down to chalk, just like the real life tournament does.
Yeah.
For a reason.
Yeah. This one, I don't think anybody knew how it was going to go until you watched the game and saw. I think I'm leaning a little one way.
Yeah, I mean, I am too. Obviously, I didn't bury the lead very well, considering my comments from the last round.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think, again, both very similar energies. Two iconic comedy actors at the top of their game. People are still dressing up as characters from both these movies. You still see Ron Burgundy's at Halloween. You still see people
tuxedos.
in the orange and blue tuxedos. Yeah. Again, very, very worthy final. A pretty solid matchup. It kind of just depends on your slight brand of humor.
Yeah.
But obviously, like I said, I didn't do a great job of burying the lead before this matchup.
Yeah.
I'm obviously leaning Dumb and Dumber.
Me too.
It's in the conversation as favorite movie of all time.
Yeah. I think it was a very close game. Came down to a last second free throw or last second shot, but I think Dumb and Dumber.
Not necessarily a buzzer beater, but
no.
It's down to the wire.
Down to the wire. Still could go either way until that clock says 0, but I think Dumb and Dumber I think they just had what it takes to win this bracket and be the comedy champion.
I think I agree with you very much so, Travis. Dumb and Dumber.
Dumb and Dumber, the winner of the comedy bracket.
Very worthy champion.
Yes.
It was one I definitely had in my head as a favorite to take this thing.
For sure.
I'm not sure if there's a scenario that would have convinced me a different way with them.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Yeah.
It would have, from the bracket, it would have been hard to get a matchup where I would have leaned the opposite way.
Yeah.
Just because, I mean, Dumb and Dumber's Dumb and Dumber.
Yeah.
And it's peak Jim Carrey, one of the greatest comedic actors of all time. And the peak at his ability is like, that's hard to beat.
Yeah.
Regardless how good the other guy's ability is. It's, Jim Carrey is one of a kind.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, for that reason, they win.
Yep. Again, the final, not necessarily anticlimactic, but it, we both have much love for Dumb and Dumber.
Yeah.
As do, I think, a lot of people.
Yeah.
But the bracket didn't make it easy on us.
No.
It was brutal at times, especially for
Fate
me.
decided, how can we stomp on Will's heart each round?
Man, it felt like losing a few babies. For us. Yeah, this was tough, but ultimately I'm happy with the outcome.
Yeah, it's a good outcome.
I don't know if everyone else is going to agree with us, but that's
Cinema
Cinema Clubhouse's champion.
That's our champion. That's our champion for this bracket.
Yeah. Let us know who your comedy champion would be. What movies were left off the bracket? What matches did we screw up? Which ones did we get right? Leave us a like while you're down in the comments, subscribe to the channel, and come back for one more bracket in the next episode. Not done with March Movie Madness just yet. And come back to the Cinema Clubhouse.